I had the most amount of women in life when I was the brokest in life, and I struggled with lust for about 21 years of my life. I'm not proud of it. It's very embarrassing to say, and I hate how it's so overly glorified on social media. How we feel like it's normalized to live this type of way. There's so many men that are in their 30s and 40s and even mid to late 20s, and they just live this single lustful lifestyle where they chase women and they do all these different types of things that keep them off of their purpose. And understanding that that's not okay. See, the enemy makes things look shiny. They dress up women to make them look certain types of ways. Now women are even able to enhance their body to make themselves more and more attractive, and it's so easy for something glitter to look like it's gold. And that's how it is with lusting. And it doesn't matter if you're a digital luster where you partake in watching porn and being on certain websites and self pleasure, or if you're dealing with multiple partners and playing the field and just trying to get the rocks off. Like, that's another negative way that is keeping you away from your goals. And I want to reach somebody today because I want you to realize that the 21 years of my life that I struggled with lust were also the 21 hardest years of my life, right? That was when I was getting further away from God. That's when I was getting further away from my purpose. That's when I was getting further away from where I was supposed to be in life. And I felt like I didn't know my purpose. I felt like I couldn't figure it out. And it was because my mind was so fogged. My mind was so fogged with the media. My mind was so fogged with the lust and things of this world. And you guys have to understand how big of an effect it has on you. It doesn't just happen when you lay down with the person and you have the one night stand. It doesn't just happen when you and your partner are and then you go. It affects everything that you do. I want to reach an audience today because I want you guys to understand how lust affects us as men and even as women. Even if there's women out here watching this, you need to understand that lust affects all of us, especially as children of God. Lust is the enemy's easiest way to have a direct attack on us and an attack towards God directly. It's one of the easiest things to fall into because when you think about it, lust is one of those things where, especially if you're getting to the point where you're having intercourse and stuff like that, that's the fastest way you can achieve satisfaction in life. That's one of there's not a lot of things that compared to intercourse when it comes to feeling satisfied and feeling fulfilled. When you can do something real quick, it's a very very quick instant gratification, if that makes sense. Like, for some of y'all, 30, 45 minutes, some of y'all even less. You have those few seconds of fame, and then now you feel like you've accomplished something, or you feel like you got rewarded. And see, in reality, all it is a distraction. It's a distraction of time. It's a distraction of our money. The fact that there's OF, and people subscribe to that is insane. Like, people are paying to lust over people. People are paying to see these type of things, and even if it's a small subscription, you're draining it out of your account. Even if you're not one of those people that pay for that type of thing, you're paying to go out and spend money on girls on drinks, or take girls on dates, or buy them things, or whatever, elevate their experience. Or maybe you might not have the money to spend on girls, because when I had the most amount of girls, I wasn't really spending that much money. But maybe on yourself, you try to make yourself look more attractive, so you're investing in yourself. You're trying to put yourself in places that women are, so you're going out to bars and clubs and just doing things that are a waste of time and a waste of money and a waste of energy. See, a lot of us look at these things as fun and balance, when in reality it's a direct insult to you, your progress, and to God overall. Why sit here and lust over another human being that you don't even know? See, that's when I made the mind shift from lusting to not lusting, is when I started looking at, women for who they were. I feel like as a man, especially with the enemy in your head, it's very easy to see a woman and think that she looks good, or think that you like her body, or whatever the case may be. But understanding that you don't even know that person. You don't know what they come with. You don't know what type of personality they have. You don't know what type of traumas they have. You don't know how it is to deal with that person in a relationship. And if you're doing it outside of the intention of having a relationship, then you're really wrong, towards yourself, but really towards God as well. Like, why sit here and have all of these soul ties with all of these different people, and have all of these very invasive experiences with people, when you have no real long-term intent on building with this person? See, it says in the word that man and women should come together, have vows, and be together till death do us part. So that should be your goal. I understand that our generation and a lot of social media and a lot of things from the enemy have clouded our perception of what we're supposed to be and what man and woman is supposed to be and what our purpose is in life. But that's the same distractions that we feed into, and see, it's in a lot of our media, it's in a lot of our music. Even Love Island, I never watched that, but I heard from reviews on social media and stuff that all the show is basically people on the island supposedly trying to find love, but all they're doing is lusting over each other, having intercourse with each other, mixing partners. And the issue with lust is it's not just a sin. It's really a system. It's a trap to keep you further away from your goals, your purpose, and your overflow. See, a lot of people spend so much time and they drain so much emotion and they drain so much of their drive and energy when they're lusting, whether they're taking the physical steps to have intercourse with a whole bunch of women, or if they're in a relationship with a woman and all they're chasing is just intercourse, 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 and they're not really centering God in that relationship, or if it's with corn, and self-pleasure. Like, you guys have to understand that all of these things drain us emotionally, mentally. They drain our ego. They drain our energy. Intercourse is a gift from God that was given to us to practice with our partner once we find our partner and we get into marriage. And I feel like because of the media, the 20v1s, the social media, dating apps, Tinder, all this type of stuff, like, this has really just got us so far away from what reality is, and it's made lusting glorified. Like, we lust over a lot of artists and female rappers, Instagram models. Like, even the fact that OF is a thing is just crazy. Like, people are literally subscribing to lust over people, especially like you're paying to sin. You're paying to get yourself further away from your goals. And I don't knock nobody's hustle, but it's just crazy that we live in a world nowadays that's like that, and we just normalize it so much. See, I seen it even with myself, especially being a person who has struggled with lust for probably about 21 years of their life. It wasn't until I was about coming on 22 that I actually realized how much of a distraction and a waste of time and money dealing with multiple women and just chasing women in general was. I'm in a committed relationship, and I got to a point where I fully went single, not dealing with no girls, not having no intercourse. And some people don't believe that, but it's true. I went from a person who was just playing the fields, playing the game, having a roster, to really just being single and celibate for a cool 2 years. And that really changed me mentally as a man. I can't like stress that enough. I had a guy comment not that long ago. Somebody asked me, have I struggled with lust? Like, how has that changed me? How has lust changed, since I have been on this journey, and understanding that it's going to be a constant battle. I'm not even going to sit up here and act like I'm perfect, like I don't still fall into lust, especially with me having a partner. It's easy to lust over your partner, but you have to understand that you have to keep God in the center of everything that you do in life, and that's how you stay on your purpose, and that's how you're going to stay locked in. See, a lot of people that are subscribed to my channel, the small community that I do have, you guys know that I really push out, the mindset and the clarity mentally that you have to succeed and to achieve your dreams in general, whatever that may be, whether that's to be rich, whether that's to be famous, whether that's to give back, whether that's to have time with family. It really doesn't matter what your goal is, but success takes the same steps for everything. It's the same recipe. You know what I'm saying? You might have to substitute a few things or switch it in and out depending on what your end goal is, but realistically it's the same recipe to get to the same place, and it all starts here, and it all starts here. It starts in your mind and in your heart. So understanding that once you get those two right and your spirit is aligned, everything in life, all the abundance that you want, all of the blessings you've been praying for are going to come to you naturally, just because you're doing right by God. And it's not that you do right by God in order to receive things, but you do right by God just out of love for Him and out of thankfulness and gratitude for what He did for us. And that is what's going to lead you. Just have that and you're going to feel the most fulfilled. I remember there was a time where I was playing the field and, dealing with multiple women, and I'm not happy to say that. It's not a proud thing. I'm actually kind of ashamed to get on a social platform and say that, and some of y'all might look at that as it's cool because a lot of people glorify it. They call themselves a shark, right? That's a big thing I see on social media. Oh, I'm a shark. I deal with multiple. Like, that's not cool. Y'all have to understand how not cool that is. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, a lot of people that live their life that way, they're not getting to no type of money. They're not succeeding any type of goals. And if they are, a lot of it is, motivated by the enemy. A lot of their overflow and their money is coming from the enemy, and it's because they're using their platforms and their personal brands to convince people to fall further into lust, or convince people to lean further off of their purpose. I wish there was more people that use their platform to really push the word and what we're supposed to be doing in life, and to give y'all the hard code truth. A lot of people are telling y'all things or making you feel like you need to be doing things that you don't need to be doing in life. And you have to understand, music is hypnosis. Entertainment, media is hypnosis. Your circle, your environment, who you're around is hypnosis. All of these things feed in. I remember when I was in some of the most thirsty stages of my life, all of my friends around me were thirsty. They were dealing with multiple girls. They were going out. They were doing this. They were doing that. And I see the same thing with them and me in that moment. None of us were locked in. I was probably 21 years old. I could have already been running a business for 3 years. I could have already finished an associate's degree or been almost done with a bachelor's degree. I could have already went to trade school and got a whole bunch of different skills. Like, it doesn't really matter what it is you want to do. Just go do that. Why spend time chasing women? Why spend time, especially even with self-pleasure? That's another thing. And self-pleasure is one of those things where, it might be for some of the dudes who do get girls or don't get girls. And I'm not just talking to men either. I'm speaking from a man perspective because I am a man, but understanding that women deal with lust too. Men and women. There's women that self-pleasure, that sleep with multiple men, that, have a partner and all they do is just lust over him because of how he looks or how their experience in the bedroom is with him. And you guys got to understand that that is coming from the enemy, right? Once you find a partner and, you love them and stuff, that's something that was given to us as a gift from God, but that's for us to be fruitful, and to multiply, and to start growing a family. Like, that's why there are so many single parents out here, or so many broken families, or so many people who have kids with who they shouldn't have had kids with because y'all fed into lust. You didn't look at this person for who they were. You only looked at them for their body or their looks or for that experience in that time. And now you started a whole life off of a temporary, decision, a temporary want. There's people that have kids with people that they hate, and it's like, why would you lay down with that person if you were going to hate them one day? You know what I'm saying? That just is a result of showing how the enemy got to your head. They lusted. It's almost that thing that they call, post-nut clarity, right? I know, especially as a man, when I was dealing with people in my past, I would get that to where you would think somebody looked so good, or you would think you liked them so much until you lay down with them. And the second that you're done, you look at them and you're like, their nose is kind of big, and I really don't like them like that. And that's because those things have always been relevant. Ever since you first seen the person and laid eyes on them, the nose was always big. You always didn't like them like that, but you let the enemy get into your head and leverage the fact that the flesh was attractive to you, and it looked more and more attractive to you. And the more that you guys spend time consuming content, listening to music that glorifies that stuff, that's the more and more attractive it is going to be to you. I'm at a point in my mind right now where honestly I could see a woman that looks good, and not only because I'm in a relationship, but also just because I understand how lusting works and how bad that will affect me. I don't even look at a woman that way. I see her exactly for what she is. You see a woman that looks good and you thinking this, and you're like, okay, well, I don't know this person. I don't care to know this person because they are not part of my purpose. I know that when God blesses me with somebody, which he has, once you have a partner and okay, that's where I'm meant to be at. That's who I'm meant to see. That's, and you don't really deal with lust anymore. And you start to see your goals start unlocking faster. You start to see that financial gain faster. You start to see that vision board to start coming to reality a lot faster. And those check boxes on your whiteboard are starting to get gone because now you're in your purpose. Now you're more and more connected with God. Now it's harder for the enemy to reach you. Oftentimes, lust is the last way the enemy will try to reach you. He'll throw that out with all the other temptations in the world, but when he can't reach you any other ways, he'll make you lust. When you settle down and you get in that relationship and you finally, start going towards your purpose, he'll make you lust over your partner, or he'll let you lust over the person at work, or whatever the case may be. And it gets to a point where now you're just led further and further into sin. And you guys got to understand that how you do one thing is how you do everything. God gonna strike you for that. And not only just that, God ain't even always going to have to strike you, because a lot of you guys self-sabotage in the process. It's a lot of things that go wrong with lust. Even if when it comes to self-pleasure, you got to understand that there's a reason why when you watch certain type of videos and you go on certain websites and you do self-pleasure, afterwards you just feel so humiliated and disgusting. And if you don't feel that way, then understanding that the enemy's in your head even more if you don't feel that way after you do that. Because I feel like at least 99% of people feel that way afterwards. You feel humiliated, you feel embarrassed, you feel disgusted, you feel lonely. Even some people might feel insecure based off of what they watch. You know what I'm saying? So just understanding that is not a good place to be mentally. It's going to get you further and further away from your goals. And whether you're a man, whether you're a woman, if you want to be successful, you got to let go of the lust. That's going to be the easiest way for the enemy to get in your head and stop you. That's going to be the easiest way to get yourself in long-term situations. Kids, diseases. There's a lot of stuff that really just isn't worth the risk. And I think the biggest risk of all is sacrificing your time, wasting time, draining energy. Some people have so much of the enemy present in their life, and they might look so good because the enemy dresses them up that way, but when you lay down with them, you're instantly transferring that energy. You guys have to understand how bad that affects you in life. I know y'all see it all the time. You might have a friend who gets in a relationship or starts dealing with a person on the side, or maybe they even deal with multiple people, and you see it immediately affect their productivity. You see how much they're not getting done. You see how many excuses they make for themselves. You see how much they're more so focused on doing that over doing the things that they need to do. And you guys have to understand that is the enemy's quickest way to get you off your purpose. That's the quickest way for him to get you distracted. And lust will never satisfy you. The only thing that will fulfill you and satisfy you is being connected with the Lord and Savior. And you have to understand that lust is never going to satisfy you. If you get in a relationship and you just lust over that person, it's going to get to a point where the enemy got you to do that. Now they're going to get you to lust over the next person. And now you're cheating, right? That's just how this happens. That's why you see people get with people for a while and then they all of a sudden cheat because they're so stuck in lust. They were lusting over this person. They got into a relationship with them. They started to realize, they started to get that clarity to where they're like, I don't really like this person that much, but they're convenient for me for X, Y, and Z reasons. So they keep them around, and now they let their lust go outside of the relationship into other people. And you guys got to understand, one, that's not right by your partner. Two, that's not right by yourself. But most importantly, that's not right by God. That's not the way that we're supposed to live. And regardless of what these influencers or social media people or rappers or whatever are saying and glorifying in their media, in their content, in their music, that's not the way to live. And we have to understand that who we're around, what we listen to, what we feed our brain, is going to start reflecting on what we prioritize in life. So stop going on the websites, stop chasing multiple partners, stop over lusting over your person, and start centering God in the center of everything that you do, because that's the true recipe of living the best quality of life and feeling fulfilled, and all the abundance and blessings will just follow along with that. So I hope I reached somebody today, and I hope once you get out this video, you don't just let it sink in your head and then you go do the same thing. You get back on the websites, you get to touching yourself, you get to getting on the apps, you get to texting people. Focus on you, focus on a relationship with God, and understand that when you're feeling that lust, it's coming from the enemy, and that's only going to get you further away from where you want to be. Y'all stay blessed.